Hi, it's Dwyer. It's February the 8th, 2025. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site. Also, always 1776.com, a free site. Nothing I say in this video should be construed as investment advice. I want everyone to do their own due diligence. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now let me just say that the yield curve has uninverted, except for the 1-month yield, right? Just understand, we had an inverted yield curve for the longest time. I've made earlier videos where I pointed out that history tells us that when the yield curve uninverts, we're headed for a recession. Folks, the yield curve has uninverted. The yield on the 1 year is now lower than the yield on the 2 year. The yield on the 2 year is now lower than the yield on the 10 year. The yield on the 10 year is now lower than the yield on the 30 year. Right? What that tells me is that not only are we headed into a recession, but that there's going to be a movement away from equities toward bonds. If you're interested in buying bonds and you want to do so using an ETF, my suggestion here, because long-term debt is going to have higher interest rates than short-term debt, is to consider looking at the TLT. Right? Again, take a look at the TLT. Just recognize right now that while the 1 year is paying 4.238%, the 30 year is paying 4.694%. And if you, like me, believe we're headed into a recession, you're going to find very few stock ideas that will pay you better than the yield you're getting on the 30 year. Right? Just give it a look with regard to stocks. I need for people to understand that the Schiller PE index is at 37.96. Just understand the median historically for the Schiller is 16.03. Similarly, the Buffett indicator right now shows that the stock market is about 100% overvalued. Right? Just Google these terms, come to grips with them. You want to have your own shorthand way to do your own investigation into the state of the U.S. economy. Let me mention a few other things too. I have some friends who are trendy. They want to believe that they're saving the planet by driving a Prius. Right? You know, they really believe in this Green New Deal type stuff. I understand that AOC is thinking about running for the presidency in 2028. Now, what I want people to understand is that when you have rising interest rates, as we do, that means that it's harder for everyday people to finance an automobile purchase. So you're going to have fewer new cars being bought because the financing costs are going higher. And what that means is that that simple reality of rising interest rates is going to lead to, at least in the car market, more older cars on the road and more pollution. Right? Let me also say this too, and I don't say it lightly. I'm sure we all have members of our family who have the best intentions. Right? They love you. They want the best for you. So I remember one Christmas, my mom bought me a pair of shoes. She didn't like the shoes I was wearing, right? Even though I loved the shoes I was wearing. Even though I was the person wearing the shoes. Even though they were exactly the style of shoe that I wanted to wear. My mom didn't like my shoes. So she bought a set of shoes for me that I didn't want to wear at all, at any time. And because they were shoes, she was expecting me to wear them every day, right? I just want people to understand that sometimes others have the best intentions. They think they're solving a big time problem, right? They're empathetic to the problem, but their proposed solution is a bad idea. It actually makes the problem worse. Right now you have a bill in Congress. Bernie Sanders and at least one other senator are pushing the idea that credit cards should have a 10% limit on the interest rate they charge. Right? 10% limit. Folks, that's one of the worst ideas I've heard of in my life. Right? That's like my mom buying me not a shirt that I could wear one day just to indulge her. Let's say I'm going to, Thanksgiving dinner. I put on a shirt my mom likes just as a way to let mom know that I appreciate her love. Right? No, she bought me shoes that she wanted me to wear every day. Right? This, I understand. Credit cards are maxed out. The consumer is tapped. You have a record number of credit card delinquencies. Right, folks? That's because there's a need for credit in this economy to pay bills. Right? Not to go out and, invest in a new business because the economy is slowing down. No, people are using credit to get to next month. Right now, folks, if you ever want to hurt those people badly, you would find it hard to do a better job than what Bernie Sanders is proposing. Just understand, you limit credit cards to 10%, and you're drying up the credit market. Right? Consumers are only part of the equation. You actually have the other side of the transaction. Why would I, a lender, lend money to you for only 10% interest? If there are going to be a lot of charge-offs, a lot of people are not going to be able to make the payment, and so as a result, the business becomes unprofitable for me. Right? Understand, I can throw money in a 30-year right now and make 4.6% interest. Why would I instead have a credit card business where I get less than a 4.6% rate of return? It makes no sense. It sounds good. It sounds great. Right? You're paying 20%. Suddenly, here's a politician telling you, we can limit this to 10%. You're thinking, wow, I could save 10% here on my credit line. The big question is whether you're even going to be offered a credit line at 10%. Right? So that's the world we're in right now. People offering you new shoes that you understand are going to hurt your ability to live the life you're currently living. They're offering you a step back, not a step forward. Let's talk about some other concepts here too. Right? Higher rates, fewer people buying new cars, more pollution. How many times have you heard a talk on the environment where they've mentioned the negative impact of higher rates on pollution levels, I'm guessing almost none. Well, let's talk about tariffs. Just understand, right now Trump is, ratcheting up tariffs. He has a cheering section, right? Forget the fact that you, the consumer, are actually the one paying most of the tariff bill. Forget the fact that tariffs are really a tax on you. Just Google tariff, tax, arguments. Read them, right? Well, what I want people to understand is that tariffs also increase pollution, right? So a big economy like China imports most of its energy. You understand that. Certain energy creates more pollution than other energy, right? If China, because of tariffs, can't import oil, then they're going to burn coal because they want to eat. They want to provide for their people because some of the biggest cities on the planet are in China and they need to continue to function. So, of course, you have politicians. No doubt they're empathetic. They mean well. They care about you. They love you. They want your vote. You have politicians right now, and of course, what are they doing? They're talking tariffs, right? And people are saying, yeah, let's show Mexico. Let's show Canada. Let's show China, right? Forget the fact that Mexico is our biggest trading partner. Forget the fact that China is actually a creditor of the United States. Who did you think was buying our sovereign debt? Right? The world is upside down right now, isn't it? We're punishing the people who actually help us maintain our standards of living. And so, of course, I have friends who, believe in saving the whales and all these other, great ideas. Just understand that if politicians are forcing foreign countries to burn more coal because of their tariff policies, if you're a true environmentalist, you should be outraged by that. The tariff argument actually has an environmental component. Let me close by pointing out some other things, right? You have all these energy restrictions in Europe, right? You have all these energy restrictions here in the United States. Everyone wants to convince you that they're in favor of clean water, right? Isn't that, the deal? Has anyone figured out that the planet is bigger than Europe and the United States? Right? If they have all these energy restrictions in Europe and everyone is concerned about CO2 emissions and things like that, right? Is there going to be a realization that that impact on the environment globally pales in comparison to, let's say, China burning more coal, to, let's say, Africa, entering the energy market and, not using energy efficiently because, of course, they're an emerging economy, right? Just understand the stuff we read in the United States and in Europe is stuff that caters to a very small market that seems to pretend that they have a bigger impact on the environment globally than they do, right? At the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, if you have to burn coal to go from living in the country without proper irrigation, farming in a rice paddy field for your life, to moving to the big city, moving to Beijing, and living a modern life with indoor plumbing, electricity, goods and services all around you. Are you going to burn coal to get from there to hear? If the answer is yes, then that's the reality in terms of prioritizing the environment, right? Just understand, coal right now remains a needed asset for many countries globally. The fact that you're driving a Prius or a Tesla doesn't change that reality. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours. Take a look at the TLT if you, like me, have the belief that we're going to an era of higher interest rates, right? If you believe that, you're going to have a lot of markets popping, folks. You're going to have a realignment of things. You're going to have a credit crisis because people are having a problem paying bills with today's interest rates. Understand, too, the Fed has very limited power. If the Fed cuts rates and supply and demand and the general market don't support the rate cut, the general market's going to prevail, not some arbitrary interest rate level set by the U.S. Federal Reserve. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.